thing that led to the Panthers was what we were seeing on television every day: attack dogs, fire hoses, bombings.
We stand on the eve of a black revolution, brothers.
Now we have the emergence of voices within the community that were saying we're not going to continue to turn the other cheek.
You tell them white folk in Mississippi that all the scared niggas are dead. We want black power. We want black power.
This was a revolutionary time. 50 countries in the world gained their independence in the decade before the founding of the Black Panther Party. This is the time when people are getting drafted to go and fight in Vietnam. So if somebody's coming and saying, well, if you're going to fight, why not fight right here in LA or Oakland? You know, that made a lot of sense.
We couldn't be absent and see what we saw. We couldn't unsee it. I was a cocktail waitress in a white strip club 2 years before I joined the Black Panther Party. How did that happen? The rage was in the streets. It was everywhere.
We're not gonna get nothing. Not by sitting around here doing these city demonstrations and nothing. People not gonna do anything. Well, how are we gonna do it? By violence. Violence. By uprising, having a revolution. Just put blood, you know, let everybody bleed a little bit.
Relations between police and Negroes throughout the country are getting worse. One of the cities most troubled by animosity between police and Negroes is Oakland, California.
People always talked about freedom and what that means. During that time period, being black in America meant that you didn't walk down the street with the same sense of safety and the same sense of privilege as a white person.
There was absolutely no difference in the way the police treated us in Mississippi than they did in California. They may not have called you nigger every day, but they treated you the same way they did in Mississippi.
Police jump on you, beat you up, put the gun at your head. This is what we were going through on a daily basis.
When I first met Huey and Bobby, they were in the process of forming an organization for primarily self-defense. We didn't plan to have a nationwide organization, anything like that. We were organized and dealing with the problems in Oakland.
We use the Black Panther as our symbol because of the nature of a panther. A panther doesn't strike anyone, but when he's assailed upon, that he'll back up first. But if the aggressor continues, then he'll strike out.
Huey had studied the law in Oakland at that particular time. Anyone could carry a firearm who did not have a felony conviction at the time. The firearm could not be concealed. It had to be in the open.
The California Penal Code Section 12020 through 12027, and also the Second Amendment of the Constitution guarantees the citizen a right to bear arms on public property.
Huey said, we're going to carry our guns and we're going to follow the police. And if they stop someone, we're going to stop. We're going to maintain a legal distance. And we're going to observe these so-called law officers in the performance of their duties.
We were in the car and driving around having fun. We would be looking at the pretty women, chasing the sisters. Then something might happen, and then all of a sudden, the focus would just become serious.
We would stop. We would get out of the cars. We would walk up to the scene. Those who had rifles would carry them in the open, clearly visible.
We would stand at a distance where the police couldn't say they were interfering with their arrest or their detention of the individual, and make sure that there was no brutality.
We stood back with our weapons ready to throw down if necessary.
They would take the weapon and pass it across like this, and it would sweep right over the officer.
No one would do anything until a policeman ejected a round in the chamber. Then we would all eject rounds in the chamber, and all up and down the street, you could hear this clackety clack, 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 clack.
And then when the traffic stop or the incident's over, they bring the weapon down across by you like this and get back in their car and drive off. It was pretty intimidating.
We refer to ourselves as the vanguard, and we were setting, by example, a new course that we wanted the entire community to follow.
No one wants to touch the legitimate hunter, but we've got to protect society from nuts with guns.
When bands of armed people with loaded weapons can move about our streets intimidating and frightening citizens, then I think we should act, and we intend to act. It's my intention to make it a misdemeanor to have loaded rifles and shotguns and weapons in public places.
The police department had went to a local congressman to get a bill written. So Huey called me up and says, we have to go to Sacramento. It was conceived as a media event that the press is always at the California state capitol.
No one really wanted Huey himself to go because Huey was kind of a quick-tempered firebrand. Bobby was a little more cautious. And it was like, look, you've been great so far, but, you might blow it up there and, bad things could happen. We caravaned to Sacramento. I think there were about 30 of us all together. And most of us had some weapon.
We was on the state capitol on the lawn, and Ronald Reagan, then the governor of the state of California, was there, about 10 feet away from us, holding a press conference with these young, parochial school kids. And what happened is, as soon as the press seen us, they gravitated from Ronald Reagan over to where the Panthers was.
The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense calls upon the American people in general and the black people in particular to take careful note of the racist California legislature, which is now considering legislation aimed at keeping the black people disarmed and powerless. At the very same time, racist police agencies throughout the country are intensifying the terror, brutality, murder, and repression of black people.
The State Assembly was in the midst of a heated debate when the young Negroes, armed with loaded rifles, shotguns, and pistols, marched into the Capitol.
When we got in the halls, you have to imagine there's 100 cameras, still cameras, print media people backing up, and I'm saying, where is the spectator section? And the press saying, this way, Bobby.